My name is Jay Czar. I'm the outgoing president. Whatever, outgoing president seems like a strange title, but anyway, I'm outgoing as of 12 o'clock today. There'll be a new president in my place. But anyway, I want to welcome you to the 53rd International Conference here at Pittsburgh. I want to welcome you to an organization that still values DEI and B. B standing for belonging, which is not always the case in a lot of organizations. I want to welcome you to celebrate, to risk comfortably, and to be present the whole time. I've been in 2 workshops already this morning, and one of the things we're talking about is be here now. I'm going to encourage you to be here now for the next 3 days. And we all have these things in our pockets or in our packs. They're called smartphones. I'm not sure that's the right title of these, because they don't always make us smart. But I would encourage you to have these on airplane mode as much as possible during the next 3 days. This typical American gets 3,800 messages a month. Okay? It's really hard not to be here now when we're getting 3,800 messages a month. So turn these off if possible. Turn these off if possible. But think about this. So I have a 15-minute talk. I got to give you 5 minutes. I'm going to speak really fast. So one of the things I want to do. So I'm abstract random. If you were with me last year at Estes Park, you know the drill. And the drill is this. On the count of 3, and that's this many for you non-math people. On the count of 3, I want you to yell out your name. Okay? And I'll learn most of them. You'll be surprised. My wife wouldn't be surprised, but you'll be surprised. Okay, so you guys ready? So 1, 2, 3. Nice, nice. Is there a Phoebe here? I heard a Phoebe. Okay, maybe not. Okay, all right. So on the count of 3, this always tells us a lot. What is your favorite color? Green. That would cover. Remember, the directions were when I count to 3. She's your next speaker someday. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. So we know one of them is green. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one last question. Then I'll finish what I need to say this evening, this morning, or wherever we're at. I've been here, I think, 14 days. But anyway. Awesome. Yeah. So, what I want you to do is on the count of 3, if you have a favorite place, like if you have someplace you want to go, your favorite place on the count of 3. So 1, 2, 3. And hopefully as you thought about that favorite place, you'll get a chance to go there soon. But let's think about, I just want to real quickly think about why we're here. And what is experiential learning? And this is probably my 50th year being involved in this organization. And so when I think about experiential learning, I think about it's a journey with guided wisdom, innovation, a deep understanding that learning that extends way beyond the classroom and any text. It's a guiding light that illuminates the path towards holistic growth, innovation, and lifelong learning. That's what experiential learning is. That is what you get a chance to experience over the next 3 days. So I am honored to be, and I've been honored to be in this organization for 50 years. I'm honored that I've been the president for the last 4 years. And as Einstein said, and we all know the quote that Einstein says, but he also said this, learning is everything. Learning is everything. Everything else is just information. So really take the time to experience this amazing conference, network, make new friends, and no matter where you're next, turn to that person and say, hello, you know, what? Why are you here? Why are you here? I'm going to also ask you to be here now. And with that, I'm going to introduce Lisa Brown to come up and do land acknowledgement. Thank you so very much. Please come up and talk to me during the conference.
I'm not from here. I live on stolen land in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. or Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. My mother is Irish and Icelandic, and she grew up in Treaty 5 territory, the lands of the Inuit peoples, where I learned to fish with my grandpa, climb rocks, and spend time with trees and blackflies. My home is in Treaty 1 territory, which was signed by the Anishinaabe and Nagia peoples. For as long as the grass grows, sun shines, and rivers flow, treaty promises must not be broken. I am grateful to Grandmother Helen Satie and Adrian Alfonso for their truth, kinship, and knowledge. I am grateful to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada for their ongoing work in Canada to bring justice to the survivors of Indian residential schools in Canada, and I am grateful for Mother Earth. I am responsible for climate action to protect the natural world for future generations. I've asked some of my friends to support the reading of the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving Address. This version, printed in Braiding Sweetgrass for Young Adults by Robin Wall-Kimmerer, adapted by Monique Gray-Smith. Let us bring our minds together as one, as we send greetings and thanks to each other as people. In these gathered faces, we see that the cycles of life continue.
Our mother, the earth, for she gives us everything that we need for life.
The waters of the world that nurture life for all beings, and all the fish life in the water.
The vast fields of plant life, the berries, the trees, and the medicine herbs of the world.
The edible plants we harvest from the garden, especially the Three Sisters.
The beautiful animal life of the world and all the birds who move and fly about over our heads.
The powers of the four winds, who purify the air we breathe and help to bring the change of seasons.
Our grandfathers, the thunder beads, who live in the west with their lightning and thundering voices.
Our eldest brother, the sun, our oldest grandmother, the moon, and the stars who are spread across the sky like jewelry.
The enlightened teachers who have come to help us throughout the ages.
We now turn our thoughts to the Great Spirit and send greetings and thanks for all of the gifts of creation. Now our minds are one. Da'andaga, Pittsburgh in Seneca, referring to the confluence of the Allegheny and Monongahela rivers forming the Great River, the Ohio. These are the traditional lands of the Great Hill people, the Seneca Nation, part of the Haudenosaunee, the people of the Longhouse, which includes 6 nations: the Mohawk, Oneida, Cayuga, Seneca, and Tuscarora. The Lenape and Shawnee peoples migrated also to this area to flee massacres by the English. Since time immemorial, these nations have had a deep and enduring relationship with these lands and waterways, and they persist, then, now, and always. Colonization caused and continues to cause inexcusable harm and violence to humans, land, and water for these nations. In 1778, the Treaty of Fort Pitt marked the first peace treaty between the United States and a native nation. Though treaties are the supreme law of the land, they have repeatedly been violated and ignored. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 forced displacement of native tribes from their homelands. beginning in the 1870s and continuing to the 2000s. Indigenous children were removed from their homes, separated from their community, their family, their culture, and their language, which continues to affect families all across Turtle Island or North America. In 1960, the construction of the Kinswood Dam flood displaced over 600 Seneca people and severed them from their ancestral homes. In April of 2025, the Seneca Nation launched renewed efforts to reclaim the lands flooded by the dam and continue to work towards justice and sovereignty. Robin Wall Kimmerer says, "In the face of such loss, one thing our people could not surrender was the meaning of land. In the settler mind, land was property, real estate, capital, or natural resources. But to our people, it was everything: identity, connection to our ancestors, the home of our non-human kinfolk, our pharmacy, our library, the source of all that sustained us. Our lands were where our responsibility to the world was enacted, sacred ground. It belonged to itself, it was a gift, not a commodity, so it could never be bought or sold." This acknowledgement is not an endpoint, it is a beginning. It is a seed for sustained, responsible action that centers Indigenous sovereignty and well-being, with a commitment to justice for the next 7 generations. While we were together here in Pittsburgh, the Fort Pitt Museum, just across the front street of this hotel, has an exhibit called Homelands, Native Nations of Allegheny. It's open every day from 10 to 5 and costs $10 for adult admission. For non-Indigenous peoples, to reconcile the past, we must understand the truth of what happened and continues to affect Indigenous peoples, because without truth, there is no reconciliation. Miigwech.
Thank you, Lise, and thank you, many members of our Social Justice Task Force. Hello, I'm Sherry Bagley. I'm the Executive Director of the Association for Experiential Education. It is amazing to see all your faces. It's so awesome to have our community come together. It's been a year since we've gathered in this kind of space, and it's been quite a year. We can all probably agree with that. There's a lot of personal things that have happened for folks. There's a lot of political things that have happened. And I am so happy to be here in a space that feels safe and inviting and where I feel belonging. And I hope you all feel that this week too. We chose to come to Pittsburgh, and there are a lot of great things about Pittsburgh. One of the things that happened just recently was our board members, some of them, were out to dinner at a restaurant. And I was gonna say the name of the restaurant so the restaurant got appreciation, but I'm afraid if I say it, then all of you will show up there because of the thing that happened. So let me tell you what happened. So we had a group of 8 board members sitting at a table. The waitress was talking to them, chatting with them, and it turns out that her family were all educators, and that another waitress also came from a family of educators. And education had meant so much to the both of those waitresses, and they'd been so changed by what their educators had done, they bought that table of board members their entire meal. The power of education. Those people had been so altered and changed by teachers and educators that they felt the need to pass that on. And I think that's just a beautiful story about Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is also the home of Fred Rogers. So Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was something that I watched when I was a kid. It morphed into Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, which I watched with my kids when they were a kid. But there are so many things about Fred Rogers that are more than that, more than just his TV show. But one of his catchphrases was, "Won't you be my neighbor?" And it's far more than just a greeting that he used. He thought of it as an open invitation, a call for kindness, trust, and community. It asked people to accept one another, care for one another, and build connections. In his vision, the neighborhood was metaphorical, as well as literal, a space where all feel seen, listened to, and valued. And again, I hope you find this to be your neighborhood and your community. Okay, on to some housekeeping type things. You're here, so you made it. Awesome. If you haven't downloaded the Sketch app, this is where all of our workshops in. Any workshop changes will happen there. Any events happening will be in that. So QR code if you need that. If apps aren't your thing, we also have the workshops and SEER sessions as a Word doc. Conferences couldn't happen without all of you and our sponsors. So our sponsors are incredibly important folks who give to this organization so we can put on this conference. So I want to thank Experiential Consulting, Experiential Systems, who provided our lanyards, Alpenglow for sponsoring Activate, which will happen tomorrow, and Second Nature Trek. Thank you all. And our sponsor, Experiential Consulting, has a little video that they wanted to share.
The risks we encounter in outdoor and experiential education programs are dynamic and unpredictable, and inherently hazardous and complex situations, amplified by factors like socio-political volatility, financial instability, and climate change. It has become clear that we can't manage complex situations using linear thinking. What can we learn from industries that have studied resilience and reliability in hazardous environments, and how can we adapt those concepts for our outdoor and experiential education programs? Safety Science for Outdoor and Experiential Education is a new book and an online training that distills a century of learning into case studies and guiding questions for administrators and risk managers to work smarter in new ways.
The first thing that comes to mind was just being in a learning community of peers, having an opportunity to have some group discussions about new information or information that I had thought about before, but getting different perspectives on that. This class really provides a comprehensive walkthrough of safety management through many, many years, and kind of where we were, where we are now, and then where we're going and how it all applies to this field of outdoor experiential education.
How does the history of safety management inform and influence how we approach safety today? How have different schools of thought evolved about safety management, and what does it mean for our work? What lessons can we learn from historical events, such as the Space Shuttle Challenger, the 3 Mile Island partial nuclear meltdown, or current events at Boeing? What does Swiss cheese or systems thinking have to do with outdoor education? How do we decide which metrics to track to measure success?
This safety science class is built on the foundation, the safety science book that Steve has written, but it's a book that brings the content and the research contained in the book to life. So you'll have discussions with industry peers and experts, or if you choose to, your own organization.
This class has allowed me to work in both directions, down to my staff and up to my board, to explain a little bit more about what we're doing, how we're doing it, how we're staying safe, to figure out, if something went wrong, why did it go wrong? How did it go wrong? Not just who's to blame for something happening. And I think that it really kind of shifted the way that we look at incidents here at the BOEC, which has been really, really meaningful and helpful.
Through the book, you will gradually be nudged and coaxed toward a transition and thinking more productively, more creatively, more humanely about safety and what it means in the outdoors environment, and begin to understand how systems set people up for success or failure. What you will get to think about is what are the capacities that actually make this go well? And how do we learn about identifying those capacities and enhancing them and ensuring that they're there?
If you're considering taking the safety science class, I would highly encourage you to move forward with it. There's nothing like it globally in terms of educational content, safety science research, and more importantly, how it's delivered.
So I immediately bought the book, and I think that taking this course really allowed me to learn how to apply all of the concepts in it. So that was my favorite part.
This book will take you on that journey like no other. Please enjoy.
So you can also find a card in the back of your name tag if you want further information about that. And Steve will be in the exhibit hall also to answer any questions. Thanks. So we have some fun things happening this week, some really, really fun things. And one of the things that we talked about at Ready, Set, Go this morning with our first timers was ways to connect with people. Our socials are kind of built around that. All of the people planning this conference are facilitators, and so we like to facilitate things. We like to be intentional. We like to make things happen. So tonight we have the exhibit hall kickoff. There's going to be food, games, all kinds of fun stuff. The Pittsburgh Pirate Pierogies mascots are going to show up. Big here in Pittsburgh, super exciting. We have a local animal rescue that's coming. We have a button maker. We have all kinds of fun stuff. And then after the exhibit hall kickoff, we're going to have a silent disco. Mo and Sugar were talking about it earlier. They're our DJs. So if you don't know what a silent disco is, come check them out. But we have a lot of social opportunities available for you all throughout the week. We also have our silent auction open. Don't forget about that. It's amazing. Great. And lots of people have donated. Thank you so much. Check it out. It goes till Friday night. And on Saturday, we have our rubber chicken relay. Find a board member and ask them what this is. It's a crazy, crazy event. So the big deal here today is the Marina, Ewald, and Hahn address. This is presented annually by a person designated by our board of directors who has contributed to the development and advancement of experiential education with the tenacity and conviction exemplified by Marina, Ewald, and Hahn. So, I now invite Anita Tucker to come on stage to introduce our award winner.
Switching the laptop. I'm not Anita.
I'm going to invite you to turn to your neighbor and ask them, when was the time they had seen tenacity and conviction in their world, and what did that mean to them? So take a couple seconds, turn to your neighbor, feel free, tenacity and conviction in their world.
What was your name back there? I wanted to introduce myself and sit down. Nice to meet you.
I'm going to have us come back together. I appreciate the patience. I'd like to introduce myself, as you can tell. I don't have much of a voice because we had a lot of fun at TAPG. I overused it. But I'd like to introduce myself, my name. I have to mess with this a little bit. I'm a little too tall for this. Bobby will fix it when you come up. My name is Anita Tucker. I use she, her pronouns. And it's kind of ironic that I would lose my voice because if you know me, that's all I need to say about that. So I am a big talker, but I have the extreme honor and privilege to introduce my very good friend, Dr. Bobbi Beale, for this award, well, address, but it is award because it's a recognition of her. I'm going to talk, I have 5 minutes, and Sherry will keep me honest. And again, for someone who likes to talk, brevity is not my forte, but I will promise to be shorter than Tony Alvarez and his code Hahn. I had to do it. Okay, so I'm hoping to give you the superpowers of Dr. Bobbi Beale in 5 minutes. But before I do that, I really want to talk a little bit about Marina Ewald. This award, it's very fitting that Dr. Beale is getting this recognition at this time because it is after the renaming of this award to recognize the work of Marina Ewald. I believe there are a lot of alignment and similarity between the work of Dr. Beale and Marina Ewald in that they are not afraid to roll up their sleeves and do the work, even if it doesn't get the recognition it needs, because it was never about them. It was always about the learning and the participants and changing the world one student at a time or one participant at a time. So for those of you who don't know much about Marina Ewald, it is a true fact that the first Outward Bound expedition ever done was done by her without Kurt Hahn. It was a sailing expedition, and she came back after that expedition saying, this is magic and it must be an integral part of the Outward Bound model. And from then on, it so became. Raise your hand if you didn't know this story. Wow, I'm unfortunately not surprised. So, I thought, it's 100 years later. Let's check it out. So I'm a researcher. For those who don't know me, I'm a researcher. I'm a research nerd, so I had to look at the research about the Outward Bound model. So I did a little literature search, and there is a 2025 recent publication on the Outward Bound model and the history of the process of the Outward Bound model that fails to recognize anywhere Marina Ewald. So, the journey and the struggle for recognition and to honor those who do the work behind the sidelines continues for us. And it's not just about folks like Marina and Bobbi, but it's about the amazing women of color in our community who do the tireless work and don't get the credit. It's about the roots of this entire field based on indigenous wisdom that never really get the credit, and we're always trying to fix that. So, let's talk a little bit about Dr. Beale. Dr. Beale, like I just said, works tirelessly, and this is one of the many times we've had a time together writing a book, multiple books we've written together. And when she found out that she was going to get this award, because she doesn't like limelight, I believe this is the look she gave us. You want me to do what? So why is she getting this recognition? I'm going to list it for you. These are a few, if not many, of her accomplishments. I won't read them all out, right? Good pedagogy, you don't read from busy PowerPoint slides, so I won't do that. But in her nomination for this award, multiple people wrote multiple things, and I have a quote that I really, really want to highlight because it came from a colleague of ours who knows her work, current work on the Social Justice Task Force. And this is what they had to say. Dr. Beale has been an unflinching advocate for social justice and DEI issues in our field, well before they were in fashion or as prolific or as prominent in our cultural conscience as it is today. across leadership roles in TAPG and AEE. More broadly, she has pushed us to question biases and practices to be more inclusive, equitable, and trauma-informed. And if we are to be the organization that is not only relevant, but is accessible to all who are drawn to it, voices like Dr. Beale's are essential. And I'm really proud that we're honoring that voice tonight. I would be a wry if I didn't mention the other more important part of Dr. Beale's life, and that is her family. And why is that so important? That is so important because Dr. Bobbi Beale, who has given me permission to share, is a gay woman with a trans daughter who lives in the state of Ohio. Who here is from Ohio? Raise your hand. Ohio is not the greatest place to live as a gay woman with a trans daughter who works in the public realm out on a daily basis, teaching child welfare and behavioral health workers social justice, which she's unable to talk about in those words. She spent, I don't know how many hours, scrubbing 3 full years of training the words that are no longer allowed to be used in the trainings she does across the entire state of Ohio. Pretty much erasing her own existence from those slides of a job that she is so powerful in. She extends her family beyond the biological realm. I also want to acknowledge there's people like Sugar and Brian and Steph, as well as Jason, that she's invited into her extended family, as well as her adoptive son, Chris, and others who she opens her heart to welcome in. So she is a container of 2 worlds. One is that world of professional confidence and prowess and dignity, but she at the same time is a woman who walks on a daily basis with a target on her back. And I do not know what that's like. But I am so proud of her because she never takes that to decrease the integrity and the kindness and the compassion that she shares with us. And that is her superpower. And for that, I love her. She also is silly. I mean, she is so silly. I brought her to Maine just for a trip, and she caught this huge fish. And the whole time she's like, oh my God, I caught that fish. And I have a video of her just laughing with joy because she was on the water catching fish, and she needed those moments of respite from a world that is so hard. So what she has taught me is that despite the world, it is still okay to find value and live a great story. I would like to invite my dear friend, Dr. Bobbi Beale, to the stage, who I love so much and who deserves this honor for the things she does in the background.
Really? Now you can't talk amongst yourselves? A few thank yous before I get started. Thank you to the Board of Directors for giving me this honor. Having spent my time on the board of directors, I know that it's a thoughtful and meaningful process, and I really hated you for a moment. Because several months ago, I couldn't have given this address. When the call came in, I cried. Not for joy. I was already so overwhelmed with so many things. Thank you, Anita, for sharing them for me. But it has been a bit of a rough go. And I'm proud that we're doing so well, and I'm really happy that this is my community for such a long time. And all those things that were listed up there, I mean, for me, the most meaningful things came from this community. My circles of friends and like-minded people, my authors group, where we spend long weekends together, working on our theories and process. To the giant group annually, where half are new, half hang out. And all the newbies are allowed to hang out with us. As a parent of a trans daughter, I had never felt myself so directly opposed, oppressed, targeted. I identify myself with the LGBT community since the 80s, before closets. I grew up and continue to live in Ohio. I love Ohio. It's beautiful. Cuyahoga Valley area is amazing. And I decided at a young age that I was going to live my life the way I felt. And that included, okay, sorry. That's my wife, Danny. What was I saying, huh? No closets. And I encourage people to do so. There was this moment I can remember as a young child, probably between 10 and 12. I was a voracious reader, and I read all about slavery and the South. And I thought, damn, I missed the best fight. Because I thought we were better than that. I believed all the things they taught us in elementary school about treating people well, and I just went with it for the rest of my life. I had that big platform in Ohio. I still have it. I just was shut down. It was the most profound thing that had ever happened to me. And so I just did it. I just sat on Zoom meetings and didn't comment or participate if the state was involved in any way, because it was them calling the shots. Our center and Case Western Reserve University, both quite supportive, progressive, and liberal. But the state paid the big money to let me teach all over the state two very important things: intensive home-based treatment for families that need it with youth, and adventure therapy. And they didn't really know I was always teaching adventure therapy, but it was a great platform. And that scrubbing of some of the content and how it was presented was difficult, and I found people who helped with, here's what you say instead, here's what's flying under the radar right now. And those networks are out there, and you should find them too. And I just kept doing my work, but really behind the scenes. my work changed from being sort of the front person in a bunch of arenas to keeping things pumping out. So, when the call came, I didn't feel like I could do it. I honestly didn't feel like I could stand here and talk to you. And look at me. I intentionally and pretty publicly let people in my life know what I needed, and that I didn't even know what I needed, but that I was going to need extra connection, because that is what sustains us. Even when I couldn't feel it, I still immersed myself in it. One last thing here, and then I'm going to start flying through a few PowerPoint slides, because it's what I do. I'm sharing all of this intersectionality with you, my professional and personal community, so that you can fully understand, for all of us, that the personal is very political. And the personal is also our superpower. But only if we can find our voice. And my problem was, I had lost my voice. Even with my closest friends. But I didn't really know that I had. It just happened to me. And it took me a long time to figure that out. Meanwhile, I wrapped myself in with my friends, and they asked really good questions. Like, what do you want them to leave with? If you could speak, what do you want them to understand? And quickly I knew, well, I have to say something about trauma and neuroscience, because everyone needs to know. Just everyone needs to know. We should be teaching that with anything else we do. Secondly, we've delved into oppression and social justice, and the Social Justice Task Force of AEE. I enjoyed helping to launch with Sherry, and it felt empowering. It felt empowering to have an organization that was willing to put structure behind our concerns, and it's been lovely. And finally, I'll be finishing with connection and activism, because it's not going to be some giant revolution. It's going to be many, many people doing great things, small and large. All right. So, let's go to the trauma stuff. I'm going to do it real fast because I feel like most people know it, but I don't know. How many of you feel like you understand the brain and how trauma impacts it? All right, a mixed crowd, that's cool. I love that. And isn't that always true here? So we are all experiencing collective trauma. This tree, the idea of a tree has been used as a model to help explain the different kinds of trauma. And it starts with adverse childhood experiences. So what kind of trauma do you experience while your brain is developing and it impacts your brain? And it branches out into your community and your social connections and things like that. But there's also a whole bunch of atrocious cultural experiences. And so the attempted genocide of indigenous and native peoples, Jews during the Holocaust, and of course slavery in not just the United States, all over the place, and but still having that residue in our culture and in their genes. And then, the reason I picked this particular tree is because it adds climate experiences. And to me, that is like the ultimate existential issue because we've pushed the envelope too far. And most scientists in that area feel like we are on a path to our own extinction already. And so it's overwhelming to have to think about that and understand it. So I wanted to tell you how the brain processes things. And this is how the brain processes things under typical conditions, so you're not completely stressed out. And I'm going to use that awful smartphone as an example. So I could look down. Ooh! The input is I see the screen flash, and I observe it, and it's from my family, which I'm immediately concerned about because my mother went to the hospital on Sunday night. And she's going to be fine, and she's been taken care of, but I know this could be an important message, but I'm going to ignore it because I'm with you people. And I interpreted that, I processed it, I thought about my options to check the message or stay with you, and I have a plan. I'll talk to them later, and here we are. That's how your brain works. And the road goes up because it moves up into your cortical area, all of where you get to use what we think of as the smart part of your brain, and plan, and make decisions, and use language, and all the things. And then we come back down into our responsive bodies. And that's ideal. That's a healthy process. The problem is that when we interpret something as dangerous or threatening or overwhelming or surprising, it interrupts that route up into your cortex. You get stuck in your lower brain and you interpret it, something is dangerous, and our brain takes care of us. It has a shortcut, and it shortcuts right out to a reaction. So for instance, if I reached out and touched something hot, I don't have to have a meeting about whether or not I should move my hand away from the thing, right? You have these automatic reactions. And so this is a good thing, right? Your stress response system is activated and it takes care of things for you. It helps to take care of things for you. The problem is with highly traumatized people, people who have repetitive or chronic stress, people who have that cultural background, that it puts them at a disadvantage, those kids who are abused before their brain is fully developed. They end up using that shortcut so much, it becomes their own superhighway, and they can't get off of it. They are not misbehaving, nor are your friends who overreact sometimes. My favorite way to recognize it is, does somebody have an overreaction? Then that's the trauma response. That express route becomes the only road they can use. And so they can only have those kind of reactive things. That was a funny flash, but let's start here. So trauma and chronic stress. We have, anybody had any this year? Just checking. Happen. And it activates your stress response system. Your brain is like, okay, I see it, I feel it. Let's do something about it. And it kicks in what we know as survival skills. It says, I'll take over for a minute or two. Unfortunately, it's lasting years. And I'll take over and use my survival skills. And we probably think of those most frequently as fight, flight, or freeze. So, survival skills, they help us. What's wrong with that? If you're on that superhighway, it's happening all the time. You're not getting a chance to use this part of your brain, and we love using this part of our brain. So, essentially the problem is they can't both function at the same time. Your cognitive process, your thinking, your planning, your strategizing can't happen at the same time that you're having stress response or reaction. So we all, and I don't just mean we AEE, all the humans need to be trauma informed because of all the threats that I showed you on the tree. Who do you think is not traumatized these days? You could try to tell me that it's the bullies, the people wielding their power poorly, but they're just as traumatized. They're just picking the fucking fight all the time. It's the only thing that makes them feel safe. But we're all seeking safety. So, your activated stress response system and survival skills are good. They do their thing, right? They are supposed to help us. And they can do those things. Unfortunately, fight, flight, or freeze doesn't like flash up and say, here I am having a trauma response. It looks like you're a jerk. You're difficult to get along with. You're overreacting to things. You're trying to control everything. Very self-centered. So this is my ask to everyone. Recognize these. Think of survival skills as ways that any reasonable person would respond. You can all get the PowerPoint. And we have to stop punishing survival skills. We have to recognize them for what they are. And that means you have to go to everybody and treat them as an individual who needs help, not as somebody who needs controlled or punished. And it works. It happens better, those interactions. If your brain is screaming, I must do this to survive, and somebody's trying to stop me from doing that thing, it's only going to keep escalating. If we can interrupt, and say, I want to be helpful, and I want you to feel okay with me, it can help de-escalate that situation. All right, so that was it. You got your trauma dose. I hope that it makes sense to everybody, even if you're not a scientist or a therapist. I know my therapy friends are up on most of this. The question becomes, we're living in a society, we're just as stressed as everybody else. What can we do? And the first thing is self-care. We have to take care of ourselves. I know people give a little lip service to that, but it requires some work. You have this damn physical body that needs to be, taken out for walks. It's gotta move. It's gotta move. If you don't move your body, it doesn't work as well. And so you have to do something. So it's not just about rest and relaxation, although that helps. Checking out of the chaos of the world can help. But to leave for relaxation, to escape from the current reality, and I just heard this term, spiritual bypass. Because we're all here to help each other. We're all here to be humans together. One big tribe. And we're not very good at that part sometimes. But we can be, moment to moment, day to day. The other thing is, we must be in community. We must have our groups. And one of the cool things is, I think AEE, all of a sudden I was like, that's right, the time. I think AEE is a great place to find those communities and start volunteering. Everybody should volunteer to do one thing. It really helps our community, and it's going to help spread our help and message in the world. As a matter of fact, right now, if you have ever volunteered to do something on a committee or a board or a project for AEE, please stand up. Yep. Thank you for showing up and doing the work that supports this community. these are our AEE values. Another thing that you can do is live by your values. It really does help you feel better. This is why it's so painful for me to have to remove those words, because I'm letting go of huge values. But we have values, and I'd like you to think for a moment about which one of these do you identify with the most at this moment. Because I think most of us would say, oh, they're all important. But at this moment, which one strikes you? Got it? Now, think about, Marisol, I am on a time limit. Now I want you to think about who helped you value that in your life. Who directed you or invited you or connected you to that value? Did anybody pop up for anyone? Do you have a person in your mind? Or did you just, who thinks they discovered one of those on their own in the woods somewhere? Mm-hmm. Yep. Credit also, yeah. All right. We are going to do a quick little activity because that's who we are. Oh. I can't see that. That's all right. I want you to shift for a minute to direct inspiration. My friends are physically shifting up here. Who has inspired you? I want you to think, it could be about a value, it could be about anything in your life. Who has inspired you? Do you have somebody in your mind? It may or may not be the same person that you were thinking about a value alignment with. Somebody who inspired you. Now this is going to be hard for you, but we're going to do it. You're going to get a partner, and you're going to have 1 minute, 60 seconds to tell your partner who inspired you or what the inspiration was, right? And then your partner is not allowed to ask any questions or give any feedback. All you therapists, just sit on it. And then you're immediately going to switch, and the other person gets 60 seconds to share their inspiration. Because I just want the room to be aglow with inspiration. Are we ready? I need a... Oh, I have one. See? They can help. Give me a second to get my timer out while you think about your inspiration, what you're going to say. Because you only have 1 minute. I kind of took it up there. All right, do you have a partner? Did everybody find a partner? I see people looking for partners though. I see them looking out there. Hang on, go faster. Okay. Go.
Okay. Right now, the person that I is one of my advisors in school. Actually, we talked about the programs I was in, and I thought about him first because
Take a breath. Relax your body. Take another. The second person. Go. She reminded me that I am victorious because I live by my values and I take the high road. I'm not perfect, but we are victory. You should read the whole book. We're ending with the importance of community. You got passed along some Post-it notes, and we're going to do something with them as you finish, or listen to the announcements, okay? But I wanted to talk just for another minute about the importance of community. Marches, protests, petitions. A friend of mine said her son called her after we came back from standing at an intersection in Ohio with signs and things, and said, "Mom, why do you go to those things? They don't change anything." And I thought about it. And at first I was like, well, he's right. It's not like I'm changing somebody else's mind. But it really hit me hard that we don't go there for them. We go there for us. We go there to know who we are and who's with us and who shares our values and our want to have all humans treated respectfully and safely, supported, allowed to be inspirations to others. So your community is here. I invite you all to make sure you embrace it deeply while we're here. And what I'd like you to do with those Post-it notes is to write one small thing on it that you have done or are willing to do to help the world. Could be little, could be big, but write something on it. And as a matter of fact, I don't know where the Post-its went, but I feel like we should have enough Post-its for you to write several. But we were worried, just wanted to make sure everybody got at least one. And so could you right now write down one thing that you are willing or already have done to help If you have something written down, stand up. But let's give people a second to get their thoughts written down. Oh, if you have no pen or implement, then just stake it out in your head and we'll find pens and things later. Imagine that you are writing it down. I found my voice, and it was delightful to find. I only needed to realize that somebody was pushing me around to feel that adolescent kick back up and push back. But I had forgotten who I was, and I couldn't find my voice. And I hope that never happens to you, but now you know. You can come back. Find your voice. And what I'd really like for you to do is to read what you wrote out loud, following in the footsteps of Jazar. Everybody together, read your own thing. Go.